The students are the college. It's not that the college is something in and of itself. The people are the college, just like the people are a church. When you bring people together in Jesus' name, it creates something that is unique.
Hi everyone, I'm Caleb, Principal of Waverley Abbey College, and I'm here with Catherine, who is the Head of Faculty here at Waverley Abbey College. Catherine, good to see you.
Yeah, really good to see you. Nice to speak to you today.
So, Catherine, just want to have some quick conversations about Waverley Abbey College and some of the wonderful programs and things happening here. So, can you start by telling us what is new? What is so amazing about Waverley Abbey's counselling program?
Gosh, what's new and what's different about us? Well, Waverley Abbey College is unapologetically Christian. It is a fantastic college that really teaches our students to integrate their Christian faith and their Christian worldview into professional practice in a way that allows them to be integrous in themselves in terms of who they are as people, but also fit for purpose in an environment that requires them to work perhaps in a secular space, but also Christian and other diverse backgrounds too. I think lots of colleges these days are suspicious or wary of integrating faith into professional work. And I think the perspective that we have here is that little bit different, that we can absolutely bring our faith into the work where it's invited and where it's ethical and where it's safe. And that requires a great deal of self-awareness. And so we work with our students to boost their self-awareness, to help them to explore their faith and their own personal theology, whilst also training to be a counsellor. I think that's quite special out there at the moment.
That's absolutely amazing. Thank you for that. And just following on from that now, are the courses designed in such a way that students or learners can come from any background? And what I mean by that is, do they have to be church leaders or pastors, or can anybody who, Christian, non-Christian, but want to get some counseling skills and knowledge within a Christian framework join the programs here?
I would need to expect that we have this Christian worldview, which is woven throughout all of our programs, and it informs the way that we work. And something that comes up really, really often is that when we talk about being Christian, Christian doesn't just mean one thing. There are many, many denominations of Christianity. And so we're often inviting our students to explore what their own personal theology looks like and how they're interacting with each other. There can be diversity within Christians just as much as there can be with other faith groups. So in terms of what we're doing in life, we certainly don't need to be a leader. We don't need to have had prior education. We don't need to be working in a Christian space. We can just be people who are called and feel that pull of vocation and know that there is something within us that has, and can be purposefully used to bring about the goodness in another person, to help somebody else with their mental health. And so we really invite everybody to come and realize their potential so that they can help others.
Fantastic. That's really good, and it sounds exciting. So following on from that, can you tell me what are the key programs that we run here at Waverley when it comes to counseling?
So there are a number of counselling programs here. We have a pre-qualifying route, which is for people who have had no prior counselling training. And then we also have a post-qualified route, and that's for people who are already qualified as a counsellor and want to enhance their practice in this ever-changing, developing field. So our pre-qualifying courses are the BA or the diploma in counselling, which is the entry route into counselling, and that is a 3-year program if you just want to do the diploma, or 5 years if you want to do the full degree. And that trains you from the very bottom up to learn the important exquisite listening skills, alongside understanding your theology, understanding the psychological models and the counselling modalities that inform therapeutic practice, and what mental health looks like across lots of common mental health problems like anxiety and depression. You can also do that at master's level. So that can through our MA in professional counselling. That's for people who've got a prior degree already, but they're not counselling trained. And that program looks very similar in terms of its content structure, but it's just at an elevated level. And then for those people who are post-qualified, so they're already qualified counsellors, there is our very special MA in therapeutic counselling, psychotherapy and supervision. This is a very special course. It's for those people who are already qualified counsellors, who want to train to become supervisors, who want to get that really important level 7 qualification that really helps to move them along the scoped competencies framework. And it also, this year especially, includes as a graduate outcome accreditation, counsellor accreditation with the ACC, which makes us actually the first college in the UK to offer that across Christian and secular fields. So it's a very, very special course. And just recently, our BA top-up degree programme, which is for those who've got a diploma already and want to upgrade to get a full degree. So again, people who are already qualified counsellors or who have done the diploma also get all the same benefits of that. They get their degree and they also get the counsellor accreditation with ACC. So Waverley Abbey College is very, very special in this field, and it is at the cutting edge of what it takes to be working in the field of counselling at the moment.
I just want you to please once again, just that new thing on the ACC sort of accreditation. Can you please shed some more light on it? How can people get excited about that particular qualification or accreditation?
Well, how can we not be excited about it? So accreditation is part of the development of qualified counsellors, and it seems to be what's happening in the field, the gateway to higher paid employment, better opportunities, but also to demonstrate to clients and to professionals that you actually know what you're doing, that you're experienced in the field, that you are competent, that you're confident in working in that way. And so accreditation is an outward sign of counsellor competence. And many counsellors in the UK are required to demonstrate their competencies by undertaking an accreditation process with their professional body, with BACP, UKCP, or the ACC, and many, many other providers. And that typically involves a real big lot of work, lots of industry there. It usually is the demonstration of a 2,000 word case study. It might be the articulation of your own integration, the way that you work. You might have to write a self-reflective review of how CPD has informed the work that you're doing. You might need to talk about how you work across diversity and inclusion. And it usually requires several pieces of work that demonstrate that you are ready to achieve that level. And understandably, that creates an anxiety for counsellors. And so we're starting to see in the field and advertised lots of pop-up CPD courses for people on how to write for your accreditation, how to meet the competencies. And people are paying lots of money to go onto these courses or to pay for proofreading and that type of thing so that they can get it. And so our course is aligned with ACC, and we've been working very, very closely with them so that they are confident that in our assessment of the students, they don't need to assess them individually themselves. They're confident in our ability and our capacity to be able to recommend these students as eligible for accreditation upon the graduation. So they won't have to do any of that extra work. They will just be able to go straight through, providing they get the extra little bits of things that are required, which is the 450 clinical hours and the 2 years post-qualified practice. Those things can't be changed, but none of the workload will be required. So that means that the students, when they come to us, they can be assured that they're on the pathway towards success, towards being able to practice in a field where there are job opportunities and where they're valued and appreciated for the hard work that they've done.
Wow, that's so good. So that students, there's a pathway where they can get ACC accreditation on graduation here at Waverley Abbey College. That is brilliant. You heard it. Get on our website, check it all out. The information is there. Thank you, Catherine. Just to add, a couple more things. So let's just say I'm a nurse, I'm a teacher, a dentist, engineer. I've got a degree, but I'm thinking, how can I integrate counseling into what I do? So having already got a degree, a bachelor's in any other field, what is the pathway here at Waverley Abbey College for me to get onto the counseling route?
So the majority of people will go on to our MA in professional counselling because, of course, you've already got that first degree and that counts. And so you can go straight onto the master's course, which is a 3-year programme. And that 3-year programme trains you to become a counsellor at the end of those 3 years. And you undertake some clinical placement practice of 100 hours whilst undergoing the training. And that's done across 8 weekends per year. And that's one of the real special things about this programme. Often when people change their careers, there's this process whereby it's very difficult to step down out of your existing job because that's potentially what's paying your bills. And yet you really want to train in another field, particularly if you're feeling called and you feel that there's something there that you want to do. And so the MA in professional counselling is written in such a way that people can embark upon it whilst continuing to do their day-to-day lives, perhaps still working and maybe doing less hours, but not necessarily having to give up their careers just yet whilst they train and do those 8 weekends a year and then their clinical practice and placement hours. So the MA is a really good choice for people like that. But if, for example, you don't want the intensity of a level 7 qualification, there's no reason why, even though you've got a degree, you couldn't go and do a second degree or a diploma in counselling too. And indeed, some of our students do choose that. They would prefer the slower route in. They would prefer it to be pitted at that level 4, 5 and 6 as opposed to the level 7. But the most important thing is that we're here to ensure that the students meet their potential and they learn at the level and the capacity that they want to learn. We're very much, an advocate for their own autonomy.
Thank you. That's really helpful. So we're looking at students from a diverse background. How do we here at Waverley support students who may be just coming through to higher education, or those who are matured students, or those who haven't done any education for a while but feel called and led to do counseling? What support mechanisms have we got here to help such students?
So we do attract typically more mature students than younger students, but I think that's a trend in the field of counselling, that counselling tends to be a second career for many. But we do have younger and younger people coming in on our programs each year, which is really exciting. And we do have a rich diversity across our student population, and that's from ethnic difference to age difference to culture differences. And I think that creates a really rich and fertile soil for learning. And we really seize that here at Waverley Abbey College. We love the fact that people bring differences. In terms of support, well, there's a lot of support available, actually. We have a fantastic learning support department. We have the skills put in place for people to be supported if they're venturing back into education where perhaps they haven't done it for a while. So we have study skills around how to write critically, how to reference, how to write an essay, what's the difference between writing reflectively and academically. We have all of those things. And so we have that in place, but we also have a faculty who really, really care about the students and are prepared to go the extra mile, are prepared to really come alongside the student to help them to prepare for and to learn and to really feel that they are not just part of the community, but are being cheered on along the way until their graduation.
So you heard it, guys. There is support available for everyone, regardless of your background. Waverley Abbey College student support is here to help you navigate through not just application, submission, an enrollment, but also through the course itself. That's fantastic. Can I just ask, Catherine, what changes do we see in students as they progress through this program, especially from within the Christian context, as we're a Christian institution?
Gosh, well, students change such a lot from year 1 to year 3 or to year 5, depending on the program. And actually, it's one of the things I love most about my job is that students come in very, very excited to learn about counselling. They demonstrate the usual anxiety of a new course. And we often have the people who say, gosh, I know that I'll be a great counsellor because I give the best advice. And then they realize as the course goes on that it's really not about giving advice. It's about the client that knows what hurts. It's the client that knows best. And I think a big part of our training is around the self-awareness development of the person. I had a student recently say to me, Kath, the more that I know about myself, the more I realize I don't know. And isn't that a thing about learning as a whole, that self-awareness part is about really recognizing with humility that there are things that we can't know and there's things that we will have to continue to grow. We're all on a journey together. And so we do have this very special Christian ethos here. And so our Christian ethos is lived out through everything, through the way our tutors work, through the way the course is written, through the way that we work with other organisations, and through Waverley Abbey, its site in itself. In fact, people often say to us that the actual site of Waverley Abbey is a place where God is. There's a space of both spiritual and personal transformation here that happens, and I'm not sure I've seen that across other institutions. I've worked at a number of institutions training counsellors, both in secular and Christian fields, and there's something very, very special about Waverley. I think it's just woven into the tapestry here.
Yeah, that's brilliant. A couple of things you said there, and that will wrap this up. And you really picked it up nicely. So, but can you mention something about the site? Because, I mean, for those of you watching, if you've never been to Waverley Abbey, please do come in, because there's something about this site that as soon as you enter, there's that peace and calmness. What is it about this place?
You're absolutely right, Caleb. The site is just beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful to look at, of course, and it has the ruins of Waverley Abbey on its site, and of course that's the heritage and the history of hundreds of years of Christian worship and devotion and dedication here. And so I guess that's what I mean by it being woven into the tapestry here. For hundreds of years, people have prayed in this site, and it feels like it's bathed in prayer. It really does. And so that stillness that you experience, I think it's something about the site that has that. But I think it's also the fact that I often say that the students are the college. It's not that the college is something in and of itself. The people are the college, just like the people are a church. It's the same thing. And so when you bring people together in Jesus' name, it creates something that is unique. It creates something that is Christian. It creates something that has those Christian values of compassion, of care, of giving, of intensely valuing another person, and of course, as I said, of inclusivity. And so prayer is a really important part of what we do.
Thank you. That is brilliant. And one thing I picked from there, you said so many really good stuff there. Kev, just to mention, I mean, counseling is a whole different thing altogether. I'm a theologian, and so we're always having that conversation, in the intersection between theology and counseling. But with the counseling, there is some accreditation bodies. Can you just shed some light on, I know we're validated by Middlesex University, and then BACP, ACC. Can you just shed some light on for prospective students to know what they'll be getting themselves into when it comes to these different bodies?
I love that phrase. What are you getting yourself into? Absolutely. again, it can be quite tricky to articulate this, so I hope you follow me on this. So our courses are validated by Middlesex University, which means that they award the degree with us in joint name. And that's an important part of our programme, that there's a real integrity and there's a quality mark there. In terms of the professional bodies, so these are the professional bodies that as counsellors we need to belong to in order to be able to work in the field. And so as a training institution, we have to ensure that our courses align with their professional standards. Otherwise, they would be essentially worthless. And so we align our courses as much as we can to all professional bodies, keeping an eye on what they're doing and any specific changes that they make in the field. And I personally review our courses every year to make sure that I'm making any necessary changes so that all our graduates are ready and equipped to serve. But specifically, we use the BACP's ethical framework as a foundation of the courses. And that's because they are the national leaders, really, in terms of professional bodies. They have the most counselling members. And so their ethical framework is very well informed, is very well known, and therefore we use that. But as a college, we chose not to go for accreditation in terms of our course accreditation with BACP. And the reason for that was that we didn't want our students to be limited in their choices of who they wanted to belong to. We wanted them to have choice, particularly as they are Christians often themselves. And so many of our students actually choose to belong to the Association of Christians in Counselling and Other Linked Professions, the ACC. And that's because that aligns more favourably, perhaps, with their own personal values. But actually, the ACC and the BACP and the UKCP, all of these professional bodies, actually many belong to the same organisation, and they belong under one umbrella. And so therefore, even if you belong to one organisation like the ACC and you achieve that very special accreditation that our courses offer, actually that is portable. And so should you need to belong to BACP at a later point, that accreditation that you've achieved and worked really, really hard for with ACC is portable. You can take it with you without having to do all of the extra work. So there's no compromise here. We're very much about trying to allow you to be able to make your own choices, just as we encourage counsellors to allow their clients to be autonomous. As a college, we encourage our counsellors and our students to be autonomous in what decisions they make too, in terms of their professional body membership.
Thank you very much, Catherine. So you heard it, spiritually equipped and engaging, academically rigorous, and then when it comes to accreditation and validation, we have got that as well. So we've got all the points and all the gaps covered. Waverley Abbey College is the place to come for your Christian counseling programs, undergrad and postgrad degrees as well. We look forward to seeing you very soon. Check us up on our website and follow us on our social media handles as well. Catherine, thank you very much.